so I can fly back to our station in Florida. And the next day, there'll be a 2-passenger plane that will land on this carrier and take you back. Without any hesitation, we said no, 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 6 times. He had no place he could pass. He finally said, I don't blame you, I agree with you. So we took off, went home, and had been now designated as carrier qualified pilots. The next program I had was shipped to Hawaii, and we practiced on an airfield outside of Oahu with other planes, other pilots. Also in the same town, or the same place, was the Army at a 447, 448. And we would play with them in the sky, practicing shooting down Japanese. Fun, yeah. Necessary, oh, you bet, because it taught us a lot of things we had to know later. Upon completion of that, we were flown to the Philippines, where we were assigned to a carrier. Now, a carrier is a little bit different than the ships we see going to the Bermuda and all the fanciness. There are no balconies on the rooms in the carrier. There's no fancy bar, no music, no dancing. When you're on a carrier, your job is to fly 6 days a week, 1 day work in the ready room where all pilots met in the morning and came back at night. The best thing about flying from a carrier is, especially if you're only one in the plane, is you're the boss. You better do it right because you're the only one you can accuse yourself of making a mistake. The carrier is a very small thing when you see it from 20,000 feet. About the size of a postage in the Pacific, which is a huge body of water. And yet, with a little diligence and practice, we were able to come back and land on that many, many times. In the early part of the war, the government decided we were going to invade all of these islands that the Japanese had taken over. That meant our young boys were going to have to fight and land on those islands. The islands were put into the large ships would bombard them all day long until we softened them up. And then we said, all right, now we'll send the soldiers in. Too many times the Japanese had found places to hide that we didn't see. And when our soldiers came ashore, they were pulverized. Young Marines, young Army, death on an island that they couldn't even pronounce the name of it. After that went on for several times, the generals and Mark MacArthur said, why don't we just bypass these places and we'll starve them out? Don't send our young boys into that thing. So the job that I had on our carrier is when they would pipe right past one of those islands, we would go in and pulverize them with rockets, machine guns, and bombs. We would hit their airport first, the runway, so they couldn't use or get their planes in the air. We also did strafing to get the planes that were parked there and the carrier, the places where they kept the planes. That kept our young men from being killed. And we decided that those islands were not that important that we couldn't surprise. We put an embargo around them with ships so they couldn't get any food, gasoline, etc. That system is what we followed all the way through, up through the islands. One thing that my plane, several things happened to me that was important to me, I think, is on military ships, there's no provision to preserve a body. and sometimes you were 3 or 4 weeks or months away from any cemetery. Burial at sea. The body was wrapped in white canvas, placed on a board, put up on the edge of the balcony of the plane of carrier. In a proper time, taps were played. At the last tone of the tap, the body was tipped up and given to the sea. The ship recorded the name, the date, the time, and the latitude and longitude that we understand. Quite a few parents asked for that information so they'd have a closing to the death of the child. Next important thing we were a huge invasion of Armada planes going into Japan for the invasion. We were patrolling over them to keep the Japanese flyers away from it in the submarines. And at 20,000 feet, all you could see as far as you looked was this armada of all these ships heading to Japan. We think that the Japanese would probably make it very, very hard for us to successfully invade that island. One day we came back from and there was a bulletin on the boat which said, a large unnamed bomb was bombed on Hiroshima. Tremendous explosion and damage. They called the radio to the Japanese and they said, will you retire? Will you explain to yourself why you should not retire and consider victory for us? They said, no, we are going to fight until the end. The next week, another bomb was on Nagasaki. The same thing. They radioed the Japanese and they said, yes, we will retire. We will amend. Probably the best thing that ever happened, and I probably wouldn't be here if we had to invade that island. Japanese are great fighters, and they will die for their emperor. The ceremonies on the battleship Missouri were sort of comical in some ways, but so necessary. MacArthur and his men approached to sign a treaty in khakis, no ties. The Japanese showed up with black tall hats and formal attire, totally out of character for what's going on with them. The peace was signed, and we turned around and sent all of our men back without going into that thing. We also had one thing that happened I'd like to tell you about is the Japanese were running out of gasoline and had no time to replace it because of our embargo on their islands and their homeland. So without gasoline, one of these planes would have a one-way trip. And they were called kamikazes. The plane I was on, a kamikaze came in one day real low, so our radar couldn't pick it up. Dove into the aft elevator. A carrier has 2 elevators to take planes from up down the plane up to the deck and deck down. Exploded, it killed 14 of our people and caused a lot of damage, and we lost some planes. We had to go to the Philippines to get it repaired and replace our plane. I think that the most important thing I learned from fighting to defend our country is our country is great. It deserves what we give back to it. I'm happy I'm here today. The good Lord was good to me. I succeeded, came home, went to work, and one day I got an envelope, congratulations. We'd like to have you come back and serve in the Korea. I said, Yes, I'll be glad to, but they said, well, we have an easier job for you. Good. You can go down to Pensacola, Florida, and teach the young pilots how to fly. And I said, that's good, they're gonna try to kill me, I know, but I'll teach them how to fly. I served for 20 years. I'm retired. I do get a pension for my service. And I say I'm glad I'm here, standing here today, because there are times my friends did not like it.
That's right.
Thank you.